Welcome to WagerTalk TV, where Tuesday is always $2 Tuesday, and you get the hottest handicapper at WagerTalk's best bet for just $2. I'm Kelly Stewart, joined by Bryan Leonard, Teddy Covers. Make sure you guys are giving them both a follow at @BLeonardSports, at Teddy_Covers on Twitter. Good stuff from both guys. Always a great follow. Okay, so we're doing this thing where we're getting questions. And I don't know who Richard Johnson is, but Bryan politely reminded me that's probably not his real name, but at GuitarRat18 had a question for you guys. He wants to know how professional handicappers can look at an opening line and say if there's value there, or conversely, there is not value. How do I try to come up with my own lines to compare what is available at various sports books? Richard Johnson just replied to this video tweet with @Missy WagerTalk. She'll get you your wager bucks. But first, I want to see your driver's license and see if that's really your real name. Teddy, I'll start with you. How do you look at an opening line and say there's value there, or look at an opening line and say, there's no value there?
Well, it starts with creating your own numbers. And I think he asked a great question when it comes to setting your first set of power ratings, because, gosh, that's hard. You know, when you're first trying to do that, what I would recommend doing is take a look at other people. Start with somebody else's numbers, not one person. Well, I remember the first time I ever tried to create power ratings for NFL, college football, NBA. It was very early in my handicapping career. I went and I got like numbers from Gold Sheet and Phil Steele, and I kind of merged them together to create an opening power rating. And then from there, what I did, I just adjusted. I adjusted every day, went through the box scores, a hook here, a half point there. And after a time, your power ratings might end up being worth betting on. And what you do is you track how your numbers are doing against when there's a disparity between your numbers and the market numbers. Track how those bets are doing. If they're starting to win, guess what? Your power ratings are worth something. You've created something from your own noggin, and just starting by copying stuff from somebody else and adjusting.
Yeah, I mean, I tell people this all the time. They always ask me, do you do your own power ratings? I'm like, no, I'm surrounded by really smart people that are nice enough to share their power ratings with me, because I don't live and die by somebody else's numbers. There's a lot of situations and things that go into it, too. So you can always purchase, as you mentioned, someone else's power ratings to kind of get yourself going as well. Bryan is shaking, kind of yes and no.
Well, I disagree with his thought process about if you're picking winners. I would be more worried about if you're getting closer to the closing number than the power ratings other people have. If you've got a better feel on a team, let's say you have a team in the NFL that everybody else has a power rating of 7, you think they're better than that, and you have it at 9, and the line opens at 7 and gets closer to 9 as the week goes on, chances are you've got a good power rating there. The worst thing is if you've got the power rating at 7, everybody else opens 9, and then it goes to 10. That means that your power rating isn't very good. So in the long run, there's a lot of coin flips when it comes to winning bets. We've all been there. I mean, you have the best side. I bet games
handicapped
right.
it.
Beat it by 10 points in college football and lost the game. What's important is I beat the closing line by 10 points. So that's something you want to do. And Teddy's right. You get 3 or 4 guys out there that you really trust. You know, some of the guys on our site, I mean, Rolf's put out his power ratings before, and some other sites are good handicappers. If a guy that you see on video can explain something intelligently, or on the radio, and he's got power ratings, chances are he's ahead of you in what you're doing. And then just every week, just go in and make slight adjustments. Beginning of the season, you make bigger adjustments, because a lot of times, especially in college football, you only got 12 games in the season, and a team's not supposed to be good. Then all of a sudden, the first 2 weeks, they're really good. Well, you've got to make a big adjustment. But as the season goes on, you make less and less adjustments as the year goes on.
All right, Teddy.
The markets are now dominated by the math power ratings,
right?
You know, where it's all algorithm based. And if you're dealing with any betting group in Las Vegas, they're dealing with computer-generated numbers as opposed to human-generated numbers, which is why I think there can be an edge creating human-generated numbers, because you're going to see stuff that's not factored in to the stats, your eyeballs, and that's worth something when it comes to this. So when you talk about value, you and I were arguing before we came on air about value. We were arguing in MLB, and you're like, there is
Teddy's
value on
arguing
the
with
Orioles.
somebody?
Yeah, surprise, surprise, exactly. I'm like, the Orioles and the Marlins, don't bet those teams. They're awful. You're like, no, there's value on it.
I bet the Orioles yesterday. It's not my fault that the bullpen collapsed.
Last night, I talked myself out of a play on Toronto, on the Raptors. I'm like, oh, it got bet up to 10. I lost a value, and they win by 30. You know, it's never a game. And you can get fixated with value. You can get fixated with, did I beat the closing number? And meanwhile, your bankroll is shrinking. Value is one piece of the equation. It's not the only piece of the equation.
I want to add one thing, and this is something I've learned over the years, and I was guilty of early. getting the best number. If they didn't get the best number, I wouldn't place a bet. Now I follow the market and I buy into the market knowing more than what I know. So if I have a line in baseball, let's say at 148, the line comes out at 118. If the line moves towards my number, it tells me that my number is right. If it moves against my number, instead of being the guy who wants to prove the market wrong, I don't bet it because they know more than I do. And by dropping those off my handicapping, it's really improved over the last 2 years. I've done much better than I have in the past.
All right, good stuff, guys. Tuesday, it's always $2 Tuesday. At WagerTalk, you can get the hottest handicappers best bet for just $2.